Hey guys, welcome to the level 3 practice test for the ATI TEAS. So in all we have 4 practice tests for you. Level 4 is the hardest, level 1 is the easiest. If you've already done level 1 and 2, all of the math and vocabulary, like English type stuff, is done with. So level 3 and level 4 are just about the bigger science topics. So what I would do is the same as with all the other practice tests, is in the description we have all of the questions and the answer choices along with them. So I'd go ahead and answer and then come back, watch the video, see what all the correct answers are and the reasoning for the answers. Right? So that's how I would go about it. And I should mention as well, we have a mobile app that will be out in early February 2021, and so I think that app will be free to install, and I think it'll be very useful in helping you to get a lot more experience with all the different types of questions that you will see on the actual TEAS exam, and it will customize to you as you're using it, meaning it will customize to you as far as recommended videos and knowing exactly which videos to push at you so that you get more and more detailed information that is useful. So I would check that out. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in there. First question, which type of organ system takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide? So the correct answer here is answer choice C, the respiratory system. The respiratory system takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide through the nose, throat, and lungs. The immune system, answer choice A, protects the body from foreign pathogens. The endocrine system, answer choice B, produces and secretes hormones to control bodily processes like sleep cycles. And then finally, the circulatory system, answer choice D, moves blood throughout the body to enable nutrient delivery and waste removal from tissues. So there we go. Answer choice C is the one we wanted for question number 1. Okay, question 2. Which anatomical plane runs vertically and separates the body into front and back halves? So we have the coronal, sagittal, transverse, or axial. And the answer that we want is coronal. So the coronal plane separates the body into front and back halves, while the sagittal plane separates the body into left and right halves. The transverse plane runs horizontally and divides the body into top and bottom halves, while the transverse plane can be referred to as the axial plane. Okay, so there are quick description of each of those answer choices. I would expect to see a question on this. So you definitely want to be familiar with what each of those mean. Question 3. Which of the following is the site of new bone growth? And the one we want is answer choice C, the epiphyseal plate. The epiphyseal plate is the growth plate and is the site of new bone growth. The cylindrical shaft seen in long bones is called the diaphysis. Dilated ends of bones are called the epiphysis. The periosteum, a fibrous sheath, surrounds and protects the bone. So for question 3 here, we wanted answer choice C, the epiphyseal plate. Okay, question 4, the fibula is an example of which type of bone? The answer that we want is long bone. So let's go over this a little bit. Long bones are hollow, they are filled with marrow, and they are longer than they are wide. The femur, tibia, fibula, humerus, radius, and metacarpals, those are all examples of long bones. Short bones are wider than long. The most referenced examples will be carpals and tarpals. Flat bones provide protection to internal organs, and examples include sternum, ribs, and pelvis. Irregular bones vary in shape, and examples of irregular bones include the bones of the vertebrae column, the skull, and the knee and elbow. Okay, there's some stuff on bones. Question number 5. Which answer choice orders the subdivision of muscle tissue from smallest to largest? Okay, and so the answer we want here is answer choice C, which would be myosin, sarcomere, muscle fiber, and fascicle. The smallest components of muscle are the myofilaments, actin, and myosin. Sarcomeres are composed of myofilaments. Myofibrils are made up of repeating units of sarcomeres. Muscle fibers are composed of myofibrils, and multiple muscle fiber bundles form a fascicle. Okay, question 6. A buildup of lactic acid leads to muscle fatigue for which of the following reasons? And the answer that we want is answer choice D. Decrease in muscular pH lowers the muscle's ability to contract. Lactic acid decreases the pH in the muscle fibers, and a lower pH interferes with calcium binding and muscle contraction. Muscle fatigue can result from a depletion of ACH, but the buildup of lactic acid is a separate thing. Myofibrils shrinking is associated with atrophy rather than muscle fatigue. Okay, question 7. What brings deoxygenated blood back to the heart? And the answer that we were looking for is answer choice A, the vena cava. The vena cava brings deoxygenated blood back to the heart. The vena cava is also the largest vein in the body. Pulmonary veins carry oxygenated as opposed to deoxygenated blood and brings blood from the lungs to the heart. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to the lungs, but not the heart. The aorta is the largest artery in the body, but it carries blood away from your heart and to the rest of your body. Get that highlight off. All right. Question 8. Which valve separates the right atrium from the right ventricle? And that answer is the tricuspid valve, which separates the right atrium and the right ventricle, while the mitral valve separates the left atrium and the left ventricle. The atrioventricular valves represent both the tricuspid and the mitral valve. Okay, we got a cystic fibrosis question. Which of the following is not associated with cystic fibrosis? And the answer we want is answer choice A, abnormally thin mucus. The thick mucus, not thin, in cystic fibrosis leads to difficulty breathing and frequent lung infections. The breathing difficulty leads to decreased efficiency in gas exchange. Due to breathing being more difficult, the respiratory system must work harder to bring in air. Carbon dioxide and lactic acid are released, leading to a drop in pH. All right, moving right along. Question 10. Which of the following reduces surface tension and prevents lung collapse? And the answer we want there is answer choice B, surfactant, which reduces surface tension to prevent lung collapse. Cilia moves mucus out of the lungs. The alveoli are small sacs where gas exchange occurs, and the trachea is the windpipe. Okay, question 11. Which of the following is not true of the large intestine? And we want answer choice B. It is the main site of absorption of nutrients. The large intestine is the main site of water reabsorption and the absorption of vitamin K and certain minerals. The small intestine is the main site for absorption of nutrients. Okay, so the correct order of digestion, we want answer choice D, which is salivary glands to esophagus to stomach to small intestine. Talk about that for a sec here. The salivary glands release digestive enzymes and begin the process of chemical digestion. Chewed food is called the bolus and passes through the esophagus and into the stomach. The contents of the stomach are called chyme, and chyme exits the stomach and enters the small intestine. Digestion is then completed in the small intestine. As blood is filtered through the kidney, the blood enters the renal corpuscle through the afferent arteriole. Answer choice C. The blood entered the renal corpuscle through the afferent arteriole, is filtered through a network of capillaries known as the glomerulus, and exits through the efferent arteriole. Okay, the role of ADH is to control blood pressure. Answer choice A. ADH is made by special nerve cells found in an area of the base of the brain, which is the hypothalamus. The nerve cells transport the hormones down their nerve fibers, which are axons, to the pituitary gland, where the hormone is released into the bloodstream. ADH helps to control blood pressure by acting on the kidneys and the blood vessels. Its most important role is to conserve the fluid volume of your body by reducing the amount of water passed out in the urine. Question 15. Which of the following hormones is released by the posterior pituitary? And that is oxytocin. Answer choice A. The hypothalamus produces two hormones that are stored and released in the posterior pituitary, oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin stimulates uterine contractions during labor. Prolactin, growth hormone, and FSH are all hormones released by the anterior pituitary. Prolactin induces milk production at the mammary glands in females. Growth hormone induces growth of the body and also increases the metabolic rate. FSH induces the maturation of the ovarian follicle in females and stimulates spermatogenesis in males. All right, moving right along here. Question 16. Which of these is not true? Which of the following is not true of spermatogenesis? And it is not true that males have a 1-to-1 diploid to haploid cell ratio, so we're going with answer choice C. Sperm are produced in the seminiferous tubules in the testes through the process of spermatogenesis. During spermatogenesis, 4 haploid sperm cells are produced from one diploid cell through meiotic division. Meiotic division is a series of 2 divisions through which diploid cells produce haploid daughter cells. Sperm are produced continually in males after puberty. In females, which is oogenesis, 1 haploid ovum is produced from one diploid cell along with 2 polar bodies through meiotic division. This means that females have a 1-to-1 diploid to haploid cell ratio, while males have a 1-to-4 ratio. All right, we got 4 left here, guys. In the third line of defense, which of these produce antibodies? Is it B cells, T cells, natural killer cells, or is it helper T cells? And the answer we want is B cells, which is answer choice A. So B cells, also known as B lymphocytes, are a type of white blood cell. They function in the humoral immunity component of the adaptive immune system by secreting antibodies. Additionally, B cells present antigen and secrete cytokines. B cells, unlike the other 2 classes of lymphocytes, which are T cells and natural killer cells, B cells express B cell receptors on their cell membrane. B cell receptors allow the B cell to bind a specific antigen against which it will initiate an antibody response. Question 18. Which of the following is not true of T cells? And the answer that we want is that following activation, they develop into plasma cells. So that's answer choice B. T cells are born in the bone marrow and released into the bloodstream as immature lymphocytes. T cells mature in the thymus, differentiating into either helper or cytotoxic T cells. Following activation, B cells, but not T cells, develop into plasma cells and secrete antibodies. Question 19. Barriers to infection are found in which layer of the skin? And that is the epidermis. Answer choice B. The epidermis functions as a barrier to infection. The dermis is the location of sweat glands and nerve endings. The hypodermis contains blood vessels and adipose tissue. The endodermis is the central layer of cortex in land plants. So there's some info on those four. You want to be familiar with all of them. And then finally, we are at question 20. Which glands become active after puberty? And that's the apocrine. Sudoriferous glands are the sweat glands, of which there are two types. Eccrine glands are the primary sweat glands of the body, and apocrine glands become active after puberty and are located in the armpits, nipples, and groin. Sebaceous glands secrete sebum, a mixture of fats and proteins that prevents the skin and hair from drying out. Okay, so that gets us to the end of the level 3 ATI TEAS practice test. So I hope the video was useful for you, and really hope everything went great and got a lot of these right. That we do have quite a few videos at the bottom of this description that might be worth looking at, and we're going to connect each of those videos to questions and topics, so hopefully it's easy to know which one you should watch. And also be on the lookout for that app, a couple weeks away. I think you'll find it very useful. Thousands of TEAS questions, practice TEAS questions, detailed feedback for every question and answer. As I said earlier, some recommended videos, and I think it'll be fun, engaging, useful. Best way to get the update when it's out is just subscribe to the channel, and we'll be letting you know the day that it's out. All right, thanks guys.